String methods are simple actions that can be performed on a string. Let's start by having our string above. So I can have a string, so I can call it sentence, and I can set it equals to. Then I can write something like this is my string. So I have a string above over here. So now what I want to do is get the length of the string. So how do I get the length of a string? So to simply get the length, we use the len method. So I can have a variable over here, then I can call it sentence underscore length, or can I spell length? So length, then I can set it equals to, then to get the length of a string, we use the len or len method. So you open with parentheses, and inside the parentheses, we pass the sentence or we pass the string. So we write sentence over here. So let me correct my mistake over here. So now, hopefully, if I try to print the length out, so if I print, so let me print, let me have a text before I try to print it. So I can print sentence length. So the sentence length variable over here is holding the length of our string. And the length is basically the number of characters in the string. So count the characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But if we run, I'm sure we are not going to get 14. And I'll explain to you later. So let me run the code. So if we run, we'll have 17 over here. So why do we have 17 instead of 14? So when dealing with characters, white spaces are included. So we have a white space here, so it's included. We have a white space and a white space. So since we have 14 characters, this white space will make it 15, and this will be 16, and this white space added will be 17. So this is basically how to get the length of your string. Next is converting to upper and lower case. So let's start with upper case first. So to convert to uppercase, we use the upper method. So the upper is a method. So how do you use the upper method? So the upper method is attached to every string you created. So if you have your string sentence, then you use period, then you can call the upper. So if you write upper, then you put your parentheses. So this will simply convert the string over here to uppercase. So if I have a variable and I can call it upper, so let me call it upper sentence, then I can set it equals to this. So now if I try to print my upper sentence over here, so let me print it below. So I can print, upper, and then let me put my comma, then upper sentence. So now if I save, and then I run my code, and then if we check, we'll have this change to uppercase. So similarly, we can use the lower to create a lower case sentence or a lowercase string. So I can come to have lowercase, and then I can copy this, and then I'll paste it over here, and then I'll change this upper sentence over here to lower, and then the method will be lower, and then we can have lower and then lower sentence. So now if I run my code and then we check, we'll have the string converted to lower case. So next is capitalize and title. So I'll create them together and then we'll look for the difference between the capital and the title. So I'll have the title and capitalize. So first, let's start with the title. So I can have a variable, I can call it title sentence. So title underscore, let me just make it this. So I can set it equals to, then I'll target my sentence, which is my string, and then I can use period, and then I can use the title method. So now I can come below, and then I'll try to print it out. So I can have my title, so sorry, and then I can have my title sentence, sorry. So let me just copy this and then I'll paste it over here. So next is our capitalize. So we can have another variable to store the capitalized string. So I can call it capitalize sentence, and then I can set it equals to, then I'll have my string, which is my sentence, then I'll use period, then I call the capitalize method. So I can come below, then print the capitalized string. So I can have capitalize, and then I can have my capitalized sentence, like so. So if I run my code, so make sure to save it before you run. If I run my code, if you check for the title, every first character of each word is converted to an uppercase letter. So we have the T converted to uppercase, the I, the M, and then the S over here. But with the capitalized, the first character is converted to uppercase, and the rest is not in uppercase. So if you check, only our T over here is converted to uppercase. So next is trimming our string. So what is trimming? So let me write trimming. So trimming is basically removing spaces or white spaces in your string. So if I copy my string, so I'll copy the string and then I'll bring it over here. So let's put a white space over here and then we'll put another white space over here. So now what we want to do is eliminate these white spaces over here. So watch what will happen if I try to print the length of my string before I eliminate the white spaces. So if I try to print the length of my string, so I'll pass len and then I'll have my sentence. So I can have a text before I print the length. So I can have length before trimming. Can I spell trimming? So trimming. So now if I save and then I run my code, hopefully this will be the length of the string before trimming. It's 19. Watch what will happen if we remove the white spaces and then we try to get the length. So I can have sentence again and then I can set it equals to, then I can call my sentence, then I use period, then I use the straight method. So this will eliminate all the white spaces after and before our string. So now if I try to print, then I can have my sentence length after trimming. So now if I try to get the length of the sentence after the trimming, so I'll use the len method, then I'll pass my sentence. So hopefully if I run my code and then I come, now the length after the trimming is 19 because I have removed all white spaces after and before our sentence. So next is start with and ends with. So starts with and ends with. So the start with and the ends with is used to check if the string is either starting with a character or ending with a specified character passed by you. So we have our sentence over here. So let me eliminate. So let me just copy the whole sentence and then I'll bring it below. So I'll eliminate the white spaces we have over here. So now what we want to do is to check and see if the sentence is either starting with T or not. So what I'll do is have a variable over here and then I can call it check start. So I can evaluate it to my string, which is the sentence, then I'll use period, then I'll use the start with method. So I'll open parentheses and then I'll pass the character I want to check to see if it's starting with. So if I pass T, it means I'm checking if the sentence over here is starting with T or not. So now what I want to print is have our output over here. So I can have stars with, and then I can have my check start with. So this will return true if it is true, or else it will return false. So if we check, it will return true because our sentence over here is starting with capital T. So if I run my code, hopefully, and we drag, we'll have start with and it's true. So if I change it to lowercase, so let me clear the output, and then I'll change this T to lowercase t. So now if I run my code, hopefully we'll get false because it's not starting with lowercase t. So always bear in mind that lowercase t is different from uppercase T because Python is case sensitive. So let me have my uppercase T over here. So next is ends with. So it's similar to the start with, only you change this to ends with. So I can have check underscore end, then I can set it equals to, then we'll have our sentence, then period, then I'll have my ends with. Then I'll open my parentheses, then I'll pass the character I want to check. So I want to check for G. So now if I parent, and then I have my output, which is ends with, and then I'll have my check end. So if we check, it will be true because our sentence over here is ending with G. So if I run my code and then we scroll, we'll have ends with and it's true. So if I clear the output and then I close and then I change this gene to something like maybe so T. So now if we run the code, we'll have false because it's not ending with T. So let me clear the output again and then we'll open. So now what we want to do is replace a character in our sentence. So let me copy the whole sentence again and then I'll come below and then I'll have maybe my replace. So I can paste my sentence over here and then we can try to replace any of the characters or word in our string. So let's try to replace this mine to a. So we'll replace the mine with a. So I can have my something like replace text. So this is a variable I've just created. So I can call the sentence and then I'll use period, then I'll call the replace method. So this is more like a function and it takes two arguments. So the first argument is the character you want to replace or the word. So I want to replace mine, so I'll put mine. So the second is your new character. So I want to replace it with a. So I'll put a. So now, if I try to print my replace text, so replace text, and then I save, right click and run my code. When we scroll down, we'll have this is a string because we have replaced this mine with a. So I can also replace this string over here with text. So I can have another replace text. So I can have another replace text over here, the same as this, and then I'll evaluate it to this replace text over here, and then I'll call another replace on the string. So what I'm targeting now is my string, and then I'm replacing it with text. So hopefully if I save and then I run my code, we'll have this is a text. So if you check, we have replaced this mine with a over here. We have a new string over here. So now what we are doing is simply grabbing the string over here, and then we are trying to replace the string to text. So next is splitting. So how do we split a text? So I can have splitting. So let's have a bunch of users over here. So I can call it users. Then I can make it a string and then I'll have names of users. So I can have John, I can have Mary, I can have Deal, I can have Michael, and then, so let's leave it like this. So we have 4 users over here in our string. So what I want to do is to split this string into individual names. But I will have individual names split from the string. So what I will have over here is I can have users again, and I can evaluate it to my users, and then I'll use the period, then I'll call the split method. So the split method takes an argument. So the argument over here is the character we are targeting to split with. So if we check, the character separating each name over here is a comma. So I'll pass my comma. So now what it will do is split this string into the names. So watch what will happen if I print users. So now if I save and then I run my code again, then you scroll down, we'll have users over here and it's split into a Python list. So I'm not going to talk about Python list now because we'll do it later in the course.